Welcome back. The mainstream media mocking the head of the NRA for saying all schools should have armed guards in the wake of the Newtown school shooting. But a new Gallup poll shows 54% of Americans have a favorable opinion of the National Rifle Association. Why is the mainstream media so harsh on them? Joining us now is a contributor to the Daily Caller, Jeff Poor. Good morning to you, Jeff.
Morning. Thanks for having me on.
Is there some misconception going on here?
I would say so. The media's been a little rough on the NRA, but if you look at their overall approval rating, they come out higher than, like you said, President Obama, and higher than the media that's covering them as well.
But maybe the speech from Wayne LaPierre didn't exactly represent perfectly members of the NRA. I know there were some that weren't happy about maybe the lack of consoling to the victims and maybe some sensible proposal for some sort of reform in this country. So maybe that's the problem here, is that speech may not exactly represent the NRA members in this country.
Right. And I think the NRA does have some PR issues to work out, and leading up to that press conference, they talked a lot about some major reforms, and it probably left a little people wondering, probably expecting something a little bit bigger.
The NRA has millions of members, and when you're talking about the mainstream media, it's all in this tiny little bubble up here in the Northeast. Has very little representation of most of the people in this country that do make up groups like the NRA, right? Is that part of the problem here, that the Northeast does not have a whole lot of NRA members? Most of the country out west does.
Right. 4.3 million members all across the country, like you said. I think, though, the way this is lining up is, with that many members, if they begin to kind of demonize the NRA, they really stand to hurt themselves, as damage their credibility further, as the media, even in their own credibility ratings.
What do you make of the fact that since this shooting, put the Wayne LaPierre speech aside, there have been a run on guns, on gun shows, on gun permits in Virginia? One day, 8 days after the shooting, they had the most background checks requested in the history of that state. We are seeing this from coast to coast. A run on weapons, a run on AR-15. So is this a fear about pending legislation?
Yeah, I think there's some fear in the marketplace. Any kind of market like that, when it looks like something could be outlawed or regulated, then there will be a buying frenzy. And if you look at the stock prices of Smith & Wesson and some of these other gun manufacturers, they've gone way up because they're going to, I would assume, be making more of these guns. So yeah, by some of the rhetoric we probably heard on the news, it's put a lot of fear in the marketplace.
Jeff Poor from the Daily Caller, thanks for being with us bright and early, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Coming up, a newspaper